Hello friends, let's see some advanced words. For the words starting with very. Very able, capable, very accurate, exact, very active, energetic, very afraid, terrified, very angry, furious, very annoying, exasperating, very anxious, worried, very attractive, gorgeous. Very bad, awful, very beautiful, stunning, very big, huge, very bitter, acrid, very black, pitch dark, very boring, tedious, very brave, courageous, very bright, brilliant. Very busy, swamped, very calm, serene, very careful, cautious, very cheap, inexpensive, very clean, spotless, very clear, obvious, very cold, freezing, very colorful, vibrant. Very common, frequent, very complicated, complex, very dangerous, perilous, very dark, pitch black, very deep, profound, very delicious, delectable, very different, diverse, very dirty, filthy, very dry, arid, very dull, boring, very eager, keen, very easy, effortless, very empty, hollow, very evil, wicked, very exciting, thrilling, very expensive, costly, very extraordinary, phenomenal, very fair, just, very famous, renowned, very fast, rapid, very fat, obese, very fearful, terrified, very few, scarce, very fine, delicate, very funny, hilarious, very gentle, tender, very generous, charitable, very glad, delighted, very good, excellent, very great, grand, very green, lush, very guilty, remorseful, very happy, ecstatic, very hard, solid, very harmful, destructive, very heavy, weighty, very helpful, beneficial, very high, lofty, very hot, boiling, very hungry, starving, very hurt, wounded, very ideal, perfect, very important, crucial, very intelligent, brilliant, very interesting, fascinating, very irritating, infuriating, very jealous, envious, very joyful, ecstatic, very juicy, succulent, very just, righteous, very keen, eager, very kind, compassionate, very known, familiar, very large, enormous, very late, belated, very lazy, indolent, very light, luminous, very little, tiny, very long, lengthy, very loud, deafening, very lucky, fortunate, very mad, insane, very many, numerous, very mean, cruel, very messy, chaotic, very mild, gentle, very modern, contemporary, very much, plenty, very musical, melodious, very narrow, slender, very near, close, very neat, tidy, very necessary, essential, very new, novel, very nice, pleasant, very noisy, rowdy, very obedient, compliant, very odd, peculiar, very old, ancient, very open, candid, very ordinary, common, very original, unique, very painful, excruciating, very pale, ashen, very perfect, flawless, very poor, destitute, very powerful, mighty, very pretty, gorgeous, very proud, arrogant, very pure, immaculate, very quick, rapid, very quiet, silent, very rare, exceptional, very real, genuine, very rich, wealthy, very right, correct, very rough, coarse, very rude, impolite, very sad, miserable, very safe, secure, very scared, petrified, very serious, grave, very sharp, keen, very short, brief, very shy, timid, very sick, ill, very simple, basic, very slow, sluggish, very small, tiny, very soft, tender, very sorry, apologetic, very special, unique, very strong, powerful, very stupid, foolish, very sweet, sugary, very tall, towering, very tasty, delicious, very terrible, horrible, very thick, dense, very thin, slender, very tired, exhausted, very true, accurate, very ugly, hideous, very unfair, unjust, very unusual, extraordinary, very useful, handy, very vague, unclear, very valuable, precious. Very vast, immense, very violent, brutal, very warm, hot, very weak, feeble, very wealthy, rich, very wet, soaked, very wicked, evil, very wise, sagacious, very wonderful, marvelous, very worried, anxious, very wrong, incorrect, very young, youthful, very yummy, delicious, very zealous, passionate.